The Central Club.
What's going on, people? Welcome to the Central Club. This episode is brought to you by Re-Inspire Printing and Boss Security. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the club, and hit the bell button to be notified of future content. Welcome today, guys. Special treat for you all. We are actually on episode 100. And that sounds mad saying that. I can't believe I actually just said that. When I first started this podcast, I didn't think I'd get past, this many episodes. Definitely did have a positive outlook on it, and I thought, this is something I would like to do for the foreseeable, but to actually be here now on 100 episodes is unbelievable. And what I want to do is, I want to kind of just say thank you to a few people who've been on this journey with me. Then I want to kind of reflect on some of the episodes and where we've gone. And then I've also got some questions of people that I'm going to be answering as honest as possible, basically. What's going on?
Congratulations on 100 episodes.
Yeah, no, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. It's, like I said, it doesn't feel like a milestone, but it does at the same time. I think the reason it doesn't is because it's not like I haven't turned it into this massive celebration thing. It's more of like, okay, I got to come do an episode, because I've got like loads in the bank of episodes I was going to put out, but I thought, speaking, yeah, we need to reflect, don't we? So, but first of all, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the Central Club, everyone who has messaged me along the journey, giving me some very nice remarks, and a lot of positivity is being sent my way through the Central Club. It's been a journey. It's been a wild journey, and you've seen different faces along the way. I think I should go back to the start. When I started this podcast, it wasn't just me. There was three of us. There was me. There was Tom. There was Luca. And although Luca is still kind of kind of like dips his toes back in, Tom is, he's not here no more. So first of all, I would like to say, big shout out to Tom Sage. Luca, obviously, Luca's like my little brother. He's grown up quite a lot over this last year and a half. Obviously, had a baby. And although I wouldn't want to talk too much on it because it's his baby, I'm sure one day that he will come on and talk about it all. He already has, but he's such an amazing guy. What a gentle soul Luca is. Do you know what I mean? And he's gone through hell and back. So big shout out to Luca. My father, my family, I want to say a big shout out to as well, because my dad. Some of the guests who have been on the Central Club, they meet my dad before they meet me. When we film, some days I'll do like 4 in a day, 2 in a day, 3 in a day. And if someone's coming from, England or, from a far place and they get on a train, I'm usually filming someone here. So my dad's picked up like Danny Christie. My dad's picked up Ali Dower. My dad picked up Calvin Robinson. Like my dad's had he's built relationships with my guests before I've even met them, and like they've all said as well, like your dad's a legend. Like, do you know what I mean? So without my dad really, supporting the Central Club, I wouldn't be here either. Of course, Clara. Clara's been through. I think when we got together, the Central Club just started. Obviously the branding was there. We were already out promoting, but we didn't really release an episode. So I don't think she realized like how much it would take off either. And she's a private person. She don't want to be in the public eye like I have kind of been in, through media, through work, through the Central Club. So like I got to take my hat off to her for putting up with me. And for supporting. The support she's given is unbelievable, from the finance side of things to actually running our social media to getting us out of sticky situations. She's been the go-to to get us out of the shit, so she knows I loves her to bits, and there's been times where I have put this podcast in front of personal relationships, especially my partner. And, you know, I regret that. I do regret it, you know. People I see on businesses and all that all the time, they say, you know, you've got to put you first, you know, bros before hoes, all that shit and all that. But, you know, there's been times where I haven't been 100% vacant, so to speak. And that's because I'm just so hellbound on trying to make this successful. And that's something I would say to people. I'll give a bit of advice out there to people. Just be vacant in relationships. Like, you know, sometimes they just want, even if it's an hour a day of you just saying, right, you know, what you want, love? What is you know, what is it you need? What you want to talk about? Is there anything I can do? Those type of things, you know, because there's been times where I haven't done that, and it's definitely affected the relationship. But nonetheless, she's still been there for me, and yeah, I just want to say a big thank you to you. Yeah, this journey's been incredible. You know, we started off in Cathedral Road, in an office space, and of course, when I started it, we had to work with what we had. So I weren't putting in the money I'm putting in now to it, but we still didn't want to cut those corners, and we still wanted to make sure that we had a quality podcast. So we were renting equipment to start, but you know, the microphones, the chairs, the logo, the branding, that was all paid for by us. And I look back now and I think, you know, like, I thought that studio was amazing, but if you look at it now, it just looks forced. It looks like it's like we've had to cram what we can do in that room. Do you know what I mean? So, but you know, the stories we got there, the interviews we've done, the conversations that have happened in that room should be auctioned off, man. I'm telling you, it's amazing. The energy in that room was amazing, and it was tight as well, and it was hot. We used to call it the Central Heating Club, yeah, and like we'd say it to our guests, because some of our guests would come in and they'd be a bit hot, and we'd say, yeah, Central Heating Club, and they go, and I'd be like, don't tell anyone, we don't want that name to stick. But yeah, you know, those were fun times. But yeah, we moved to Kesto's then. You know, he kind of was like, look, I'd like you to come here and film, so we did. And then, you know, the time was right to move on. We were waiting for a place, and I think this is the place now.
Home.
This is home.
Yeah.
What do you think of the studio?
I like it. It's instantly recognizable when you're scrolling on social media and you see the slats.
Yeah?
Yeah, the wood slats. Lovely.
Iconic.
Yeah. It fits the brand. You know what I mean? I'm all about that. And the logo. Do you want to say a little bit about the logo, where that's come from, why that's all over Cardiff?
Yeah.
Fans. It was the fans. They did it.
Yeah. yeah. People are like, yo, what? I'm sorry, but there's like it was like a Radar page. It was like, there's graffiti all over. What is this? What is this Central Club? And we were like, yeah, it's not us, it's the fans. Yeah, so obviously, you know, it's the skyline of Cardiff. Shout out to Zach Avoth for designing the brand, the logo, sorry. But I don't think people realize, like a lot of people think, you know, like where it points out here, although it looks like the Millennium Stadium, doesn't it? Like it is the Millennium that's meant to be.
Yeah.
But it's a speech bubble.
Oh,
that bit there on the edge. And what people don't realize is, right, that's the end there. People always look at the box there as like the edge, the center, and then that comes out. But it isn't. That is. So when people look at photos and they think they're off-centered, it's not. It's a speech bubble. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And obviously Central, like I said, the C, the T, and the L, which are the big letters, are, you know, Cullan, Tom, and Luca, who we started it together. I called it the Central Club because I wanted to be the center of the topic, the center, you know, the topic of conversation. We are Cardiff, we are the city, we are the capital, and anyone who comes into this podcast and talks, they are the center of attention. Also, we stay central. We don't want to be someone who's kind of favoritizing guests. We want to be in the middle of things and just draw the truth from that interview. So that's where the Central Club come from. We also called it the club because we wanted the people to feel like they were part of something. You know, I didn't I didn't want to call it the Cullan Mais show, you know? I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and I was aware, even at the beginning, I was aware that this podcast was me. Like, this is my baby. I'm the one who's the host. Tom and Luca, they can be a part of it, like, you know, and I want them to be a part of it, you know. But there was no beating around the bush like this was my baby. So I could have called it the Cullan Mais show, but it just wouldn't have the same ring to it, and I didn't want to put my name to something like that. I wanted it to be a brand. Yeah. I wanted it to be something that people can feel like they're a part of, you know. So that's where it came from. And yeah, we went ham with the promoting, all organic. We never like paid for any advertisements, nothing like that. Well, we did pay in the sense of we purchased banners, we purchased stickers, but we never paid for advertising, you know. No, like it was all organic.
PPC and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, that's where Central Club comes from, you know, and yeah, I think it's taking off now. There's been this like talk lately of like paying guests, and right, I've kind of changed my mind on it a little bit now. I've always been, I ain't paying for the guest. I ain't. Like, the moment that I pay for the guest is the moment that I'll quit podcasting. Because I believe, the same in music and the same in anything, you should collaborate with someone because you believe in what they're doing and you think it will benefit you. That's what I think collaborating is about. You know, you both elevate each other, or there's something you're passionate about, something you want to work with, someone, or you want to help someone. They're the things, you know. If you're paying someone, they don't want to be there. That's how I feel. But then at the same time, you know, I do a lot of public speaking, and although I charge a fee, I do want to be there. You know, I am passionate about this. But, you know, like, I don't know if you remember a couple months back, Ariel Halwani was having the murder with Paddy the Baddie and stuff. Yeah. And they were talking about paying guests, and he was saying it is unethical as a journalist. And it is. It's not, I think it's cheating in a way, you know? Like if I've got 100,000 subscribers, another podcast got 100,000 subscribers. We're both equally as talented. Of course, if that guy starts paying guests, he's definitely going to get better guests. That doesn't mean he is good at recruiting. That doesn't mean he's got the gift of the gab when it comes to bringing guests in. It just means he's paying them. So I just think it's a bit cheating as well. Like, every guest I have had on, there's a story behind that. You know, there is a graft behind that where, you know, I've kind of seduced them in a way. Do you know what I mean? It's that seduction, innit? It's that, you know, trying to pull a girl. It's the same thing.
I think the beauty of it is you're bringing in the Welsh guests as well, the Welsh people with storylines, stories to tell.
That is like, that's the benefit in it.
Yeah, we
can get the gold standard of Welsh people.
Yeah,
and I kind of try and hold them accountable if they don't come. You know, like, with a Welsh podcast, why you go into this guy endorse it?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like I'm not gonna lie, like one guest I was really not upset about, obviously, but one guest I was a bit gutted I saw on someone's show. I was just gutted, like, because I thought, mate, like, we've got a podcast here, like, we back you, man, and, you know, like, we're Welsh, bro. And that was Gavin Gerwin Price.
The Iceman, yeah.
Yeah, he went on Jackmate podcast, Happy Hour podcast.
Yeah, I've seen.
And I was just like, mate, like, you're a dickhead, like, that's how I felt, like, do you know what I mean? You know, I'd still love to get him on. He's got a great story and he's still killing it now, like, you know. But yeah, there's some guests I think, fucking hell, mate. Do you know what I mean? Another one who I have felt like, oh man, Joe Calzaghe, you know, an absolute hero of mine growing up. Hero. But, you know, obviously there's bigger and better podcasters out there, but I still feel like we're up there with the best. And why can't you come and sit with us for an hour and tell the people of Wales, you know? Because that's another thing that I think with Wales as well. Like Rodri Giggs, he's done a few podcasts, but no one will do a podcast like we will, because we're going to ask him questions about Wales, about his family in Cardiff. And like, people, like, when Rodri Giggs do a podcast and he goes, yeah, my father's from Cardiff, but I moved to Manchester, blah, blah, blah. And then that's it, they leave it there. I wouldn't leave it there. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm going in more to find out more about his past. And so obviously every podcast host is different and they open up different locks from whatever, whatever they know. But yeah, like the Welsh ones, I love that fact. But I forgot the point I was getting to, but it was like, that's it. The Teddy Stone thing, like, I'm lucky now. I've got like an outpost in London. I've got a little studio base in London where I can go whenever I want. So I'm pretty lucky. But again, like, I don't want to drift away from the point of we're trying to bring people to Wales. That is why I'm doing this.
Come and see the sights.
Listen, I'll say it again, right? When I grew up, Wembley was knocked down, okay? And everyone, right? Wembley was knocked down when I was growing up. They were refurbishing Wembley, and the Millennium Stadium was where they played all the football finals. There was a buzz around the city of Cardiff. There was a buzz within Wales because these football finals were being played every single year. Not just one, not just two. We're talking about 5 to 10. We're talking about the promotion games as well. So all these people from different cities all over the world were coming to Cardiff, and it was a buzz. You get the football players up the Vale Hotel or up the Copthorne, and you go down there and you might bump into one in the city centre of Cardiff. There was a buzz, right? And I loved that as a kid. It was magical. We don't get that now. We don't really have much here, okay? We have a great tourist, kind of...
I would say over the years, we're bringing bigger acts to the city now with all the events in the castle, Principality...
Yeah, no, I
CIA.
I do agree. I do agree in a sense. Yeah, right. Of course. Like, I went to the wrestling and that was amazing.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, this was like, maybe it's because I'm a football fan. I just felt like it was like the finals were being played here every year. Cardiff was like in the mix of, like, it was big.
Yeah.
And I just don't feel that as much. So what I want to be is, I want to be that guy who can bring people to Cardiff and people be like, yo. Tom Hardy was filming you last year. Everyone's like, oh, Tom Hardy's down Barry. I saw Tom Hardy. It's like, I want to be able to do that as well. Like, we bring people to our city just to be in the mix a bit more. Because we are always second fiddle to England and Ireland and Scotland and places like that.
But why don't you, first of all, let me know the most controversial guest so far?
Most controversial. It's been a bit tough because I'll go top 3.
Top 3, yeah.
Decker Heggie. Decker Heggie, I would put in number 3. Reason I would put him in number 3 is because there's a lot around there. He's known people, he's had a lot of hate online. And this term was being thrown at me that I was a nonce-enabler. Yeah, it's mad. I had a lot of backlash for getting Decker on the show, and at one stage I took it down, and mate, I hate it. I wish I didn't take it down. That was a sign of weakness. I should have kept it up, because when I put it back up, it just fucked the algorithm up. Yeah. But yeah, Decker Heggie, number 3. And just to put it out there for people to understand. Yeah. These people who are calling me a nonce-enabler are the same people who would watch Piers Morgan, they would watch Trevor McDonald, and they would watch Louis Theroux. They would go and watch them interview Jimmy Savile. They would go and watch them interview someone on death row. They would interview them, chatting to a serial killer. But does that make Piers Morgan an enabler to serial killers? Does that make Louis Theroux a nonce-enabler? No, it don't. It doesn't even mean that they're friends with them. It doesn't even mean that they're promoting it. Like, it's none of that. You know that they're there to draw information and make content, yeah? So what's difference with them and me? What, because they got a blue tick? Because they've been around for a long time? Or because they're part of the mainstream media?
We can get you a blue tick if you want. They're $12.99 now. Anyone can have one.
Hey. Let's quickly, before we jump on the controversial, we'll talk about that. Remind me, okay?
Yeah. Come back to the blue tick.
Yeah, okay. So they're not enablers. They're there to create content, and I feel the same way. So Decker Heggie in 3. In number 2, I would put Calvin Robinson. Reason I would put Calvin Robinson is because of some of the things he was talking about.
Yeah, even for myself, receiving that one by email and saying this one's coming on, this is what he's talking about. this is what I need included in the design. I was thinking, can we get away with this? Can we add these images? But nonetheless, it was a good one.
What were the images for the people?
So we had anti-trans logos, homophobic logos, and then him in the middle with his dog collar on and everything, like completely normal. And you're like, well, really? But yeah, Calvin Robinson.
Yeah. And number one, we're going to have to go in. We're going to have to go with Tommy Robinson and Derek Diablo. But again, more behind it, really. The more controversial backlash I had was with the Tommy Robinson Part 1. And it was with people who I was quite surprised with, people I've grown up with for so long, questioning my viewpoints. Like, as if I'm a racist. And I to be honest, I don't even think Tommy Robinson is racist. I think people are small-minded, people listen to the media, and people jump on the bandwagon. But, yeah, we're going to go Derek, we're going to go Decker Heggie, we're going to go Calvin Robinson, and then we're going to go Tommy Robinson. I don't know what it is with the Robinsons, but they are...
Trouble.
Quickly, the blue tick. What do you think?
As someone who works in social media, I think it is ridiculous. You see people now like...
Do you think it's ridiculous having a blue tick, or do you think it's ridiculous that you're allowed to...
I think it's ridiculous that you're allowed to buy a blue tick.
Yeah.
And then I also think on the same, that it's ridiculous if you do go and buy one. Unless you are one of these people in the public eye. But like Joe Blogs from the Valleys who now has a blue tick.
Well, I'm fuming because
who fixes cars for a living.
Yeah.
You're like...
So basically what it is now, man, right? I go on my... I go on my Instagram story and people are liking my stuff and they got a blue tick and my belly goes. I'm thinking, oh my God, I got someone famous. We've got a guest here. I looked and it's Danny Boy with a fake tan with 100 fucking followers. And you're like, oh my God, man.
Nan's bought a blue tick.
It's just ridiculous, mate. Like, honestly, there's been a few times where people are liking my shit and I'm like, oh my God, he got a blue tick. He must be like a big deal. Let's see what his story is.
Yeah.
And they're just some mad taffy with fucking 1,000 followers.
I thought the whole reason was to stop celebrities' pages being copied. And
Yeah, but no, but now the meta they're saying is to verify you as a person, the same way you would in Plenty of Fish. No, listen, right? Hey, do you know what I want to be now? This is what it is now. I want to be the only one without a blue tick. That's really being verified. Do you see what I mean? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think now not having a blue tick would be better. I don't want to have a blue tick like that. And let me work this out. Does certain other people still get offered blue ticks for free? Like if you are that, like, well, because can you imagine being people like Joe Cordina who have earned his blue tick by being a boxer, and now you've got my man down the road who's got a blue tick. You must be fuming.
I think celebrities are politicians have grey ticks, do they not? And it sort of separates them. Let me just double check on some.
I don't know. I know on Twitter it's a bit different, isn't it? Like they have like gold ticks and shit.
I think it's all a money thing. It's definitely all a money thing.
Yeah. You are, bro? You are, Pete? It's all right. Come and say hello on the camera. Come and say hello. Don't be nervous.
No, so on Facebook, Boris Johnson's still got a blue one.
He ain't a fucking politician, though, is he?
Oh, he's not anymore, is he? He's not.
No, he just never was.
Yeah.
Just a nutter. No, but yeah, like, you know, I think it's weird, mate. Honestly, like, I just think it's wrong that you should be someone who's worked so long, like, because a blue tick for some people is a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, that's like, you know, it shows. I don't know why. I don't know why it is. You know, when you think about it, it's quite stupid, really. But like to some people, you know, that's their kind of recognition of them showing how hard they've worked and what they do.
It's the adult scout badge.
Yeah. And now, you know, anyone can have it.
Yeah. What's been the favourite episode? Don't sit on the fence. You have to pick someone.
Craig Bellamy. Reason why it's Craig Bellamy, I am a massive fan of Craig Bellamy, always was. I remembered him playing for Newcastle, and when I found out he was Welsh, I was so proud, I was only a little kid, and I thought, oh my God, this guy's Welsh, he's a baller, blah, 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 blah. I was a Liverpool fan. Craig Bellamy, mate, it was just unbelievable. Such a nice guy. Still have a relationship with him to this day. Shout out to Thea for even making that happen. And that's a good example of how you keep your guests, you keep networking and keep a good relationship with your guests. I'm not in the game of fucking over people. You know, some people will reach out and say, oh, listen, I said that. It's got to go out. Or there's something that's really juicy and would do really well. And then they come back and say, listen, I've spoken to my missus. She don't think it should go out. Can you take that out? And I've had to take it out. Other people would just say no and put it out. Yeah, but I don't want to upset my guests. And an example of that is Thea. He was our very first guest. And then about 30 episodes later, where we still kept a good relationship, he got me Craig Bellamy. And Craig Bellamy got me Kieran Dyer. You know, and it's just like that's how it works. But yeah, Bellamy's was the one, and I just want to like kind of go through something. So one of the things, right? Yeah, that if you wanted to start a podcast and you went on YouTube and said top tips to start a podcast, I guarantee you one of the very first tips will be to niche down. And that's one of the things that we did not want to do. Yeah, I thought, I don't want to niche down. I don't want to be this one who's, you know, just, you know, there's the roof there. Can't go any further. Our podcast is real. It's real life, and it could be anything. I think we said, like, the beauty of the Central Club is you don't know who's next.
Yeah, it's not a sports podcast. It's not a true crime podcast. It's real stories from anything from what UFOs to Andrew Biggie Morris.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, because you can bring a footballer in, you can bring a thing in. Now it's risky because, for example, I will get Craig Bellamy on, people will discover it, they'll be like, fucking hell, I'll have a bit of that, subscribe, and then the next week it's a rugby player and they hate rugby. Yeah, you know, that's risky. But the same with Joe Rogan, right? Joe Rogan, the majority of the guests he has on, I have no fucking clue about these people. But I trust Joe Rogan's recruitment.
Yeah, some of them turn out to be some of the better episodes as well.
I trust his recruitment. Yeah. And also, a lot of people go there just to see Joe Rogan. That's what I wanted to do. I am a jack of all trades, master of none. You know, I could get a footballer on there and I know enough. I'm not an expert. I'm not Mark Goldridge. I'm not Simon Jordan. But I know enough.
How did you get on with the UFO one?
I lived there, yeah. Because I'm into all that shit.
And it's 2 minutes away from our house?
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
2 minutes away from here.
That's one of the ones you sent over, and I was like, oh, what's this then? Was there any guest that made you cry or moved you in such a deep way that left a certain impression on you?
Yeah. James Lee. And it upsets me, this one. This one upsets me because he didn't get the justice he deserved. It's quite uncanny, really. He didn't get the justice he deserved in life and on that podcast. In life, he has never been given his innocence. He was tortured for 3 years in Saudi Arabia for car bombings that he did not do. And when he got released, he didn't have a parade. He didn't get a payout. He didn't get, you know, worldly known as someone who, you know, this wasn't true. They put a balaclava over his head. They stuck him in a van and they took him to an airport where he was exchanged with Guantanamo, with Gitmo prisoners, Saudi prisoners. He was just exchanged. He was put in the plane and he come back to Britain. And now he's had to pick up the pieces of his life, shattered. The man was tortured for 3 years. And if you looked at the guy, he's a shell of a man. Such a lovely, lovely man. He reminds me of someone's grandfather, but he's like a young grandfather. Yeah. And he's just such a lovely guy. And guys, like, honest to God, what a brave man. And if any of you get the opportunity, go and watch that episode. James Lee. All right? It's on our podcast. It's frightening. And what it shows you is it can happen to anyone. You know, we've done a few miscarriages of justice on the Central Club. And it's sad to say that they're all from Wales. We've done about 6 or 7, all from Wales, you know? And what I've learned is that one of my biggest fears is like going to jail for something I haven't done. And, you know, we've done a lot of them. And James Lee was the one.
So the follow-up question, completely unrelated, but this guy loves cinema and films. First movie you remember watching as a kid, go to see on the big screen, and then your favourite movie of all time.
I think the first movie I remember as a kid, there's a few, you know. The Sandlot Kids was one of them. It's a baseball with Baby Ruth and the Great Bambino. Space Jam. I went to the cinemas to see Space Jam, and I remember the first time I went to the cinemas was for Batman Forever, maybe. It's with Michael Keaton, and I remember leaving. That was the first time I think I went to the cinemas. But I'm gonna go with an obscure one. I'm gonna go a bit risky here, and I'm gonna say that the greatest film of recent that I really like is Uncut Gems. Howie, that's Adam Sandler.
Yep.
He plays a Jewish jeweler in New York, and his life reminds me of my life through heroin addiction. It just resonates so much that, you know, rob Peter to pay Paul type of thing, where it's just like he's addicted. He's addicted. He's a gambling addict, and that addiction. Watching it gave me anxiety. Watching it just reminded me so much of the person I used to be. And the sad thing about it is he's such a lovable guy on the film, and every time he gets, you know, out of the shit, you think yes, and then he fucking does something else, and you're like no. So I'd say Uncut Gems is my film.
What guest has resulted in the most backlash from supporters and non-supporters?
Yeah, let's talk about Tony Roach. Yeah, Tony Roach is a copper that exposed South Wales Police for their corruption. And I believed him at first. And then when we done the podcast, like, you know, things started not to make sense. And then when we finished the podcast, the backlash of people, I think it was more backlash towards him, not me, but it was just like, the guy's a fucking liar. He's a fucking idiot, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, okay. People my age, people who were older than me, who said he was a bully. He was the one who was corrupt. He would plant things on you. He would, you know, catch you with drugs that you never had and knives that you never had. So, yeah, it was a bit of a mad one. And I'll tell you a quick story. So I done 4 public talks at the Bridgend headquarters of South Wales Police. And there was hundreds of them, you know, in a big room. And at the end of my presentation, I had the Central Club saying, look, I do a podcast, by the way, interview people. This is who I get on. And I said, you know, I've even had a few ex-coppers on, and they all started laughing. And 2 of them in the room goes, we don't believe him. He's a fucking idiot. So even the police have watched this podcast with Tony Roach, and they think he's a fucking idiot. But I like Tony as a guy. Funny guy. Thinks he's chocolate. I'd love to get him on for a part 2.
The first thing that you see if you search Tony Roach on Google, top thing, podcast.
Is it?
Yeah. So it's obviously still doing the rounds.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it is. And yeah, it was a good one. It was juicy. It was funny. Talks like this, he does. He talks like this.
And these are all on YouTube that you can go back and watch. Yeah,
listen, there's 100 episodes. Go and dive in on them. Yeah, some wicked ones. I did have a comment I just saw then. There's 2 of them. I'm going to read them out. So the first one is Jonathan Evans and Anis Abraham on the same podcast. Yes, we're hoping to get not just them 2, but 1 or 2 others. We want this to be a round table. We are going to get that hooligan round table on. I promise you guys, we will get it on. I've got someone who said, you had Calvin Robinson on your podcast, and he had a lot of backlash about the trans comments. Being from Cardiff, what do you think of ADHD? Okay, so ADHD is, I think, now, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't know what her pronouns are. I think it's just a guy who dresses up as a woman. I think that's who he is. And I was walking through town the other day, and I saw a big banner, like a sticker on a window in the arcade, and I thought it was the same person. I thought it was the trans version and him, but it turned out it was the drag, and it's not trans, it's drag. It was the drag and the boyfriend. And they were talking. It says on the thing, like, find out the story of how ADHD had trouble, and there's something about celebrating being different. And I thought, this is what's conflicting with me. This is where these people are just so hypocritical, like absolutely hypocritical, especially in the wider media. I don't care what you identify as. I don't care what you are into. I really, really don't. I celebrate it. I want people to be different. Life would be boring if we were all the same, okay? I am all for it. But the one thing I am against is pushing it on other people, pushing narratives on people and ramming it down their throat. That's what I'm about. Do what you want. Identify what you want. Fuck who you want. But just don't kind of like push that on me. It's the same in anything. It's the same in religion. It's the same in sex. It's the same on your views on the world. They're your views. I respect them, but don't try and push them on other people. If you want to celebrate being different, then just respect other people's opinions. It's as simple as that. And then the last one that someone said is, do you think Kaz Clark is telling the truth? Oh, it's a tough one.
It's a biggie.
I believe she believes what she saw. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It just sounds, pardon the pun, out of this world.
Yeah.
It just sounds crazy.
It's the bit where, he started speaking to me. That's when I was like, oh, why? Oh. It went so well.
But it's a huge thing in America. She's known all over, these people who go out hunting for UFOs. They all know of her. I mean, she's huge.
Yeah, but I just it's that bit there. It was going really well, and then she said, they spoke to me. Tell us what you've seen tonight. Like, as if she's the chosen one type of thing.
Yeah.
And I just thought, oh, Kaz, I don't know about that.
And Penturk as well as the area. It is.
Well, it is, there's different ley lines in it, so it could have popped up anywhere. But it's like, the other bit as well is like, I'm like, what do you think in nuclear war? What do you think's going to happen? There will never be a nuclear war. They can't be. They like, she's so sure of things like that, and you're like, nah. So it's a bit of a tough one. Coming out. Alpha. Oh yeah. Yeah, so it's just a bit of a mad one with me. But look, on that note, I think we're done with those questions.
Yeah, that was the last one.
Yeah, that was the last one. I think, I'm really excited to go forward with the next 100 episodes. Really looking forward to it. Anything you want to say, Luke?
Just a huge congratulations, really. Next 100, let's go. More interesting guests, more weird and wonderful stories.
Can we hit 100,000 subscribers before episode 100? 200?
It's a goal. It's a big ask, but 30 and 100, snowball effect, good guests, good content. Why not?
What do you reckon, guys? Let us know what you think, where you think we will be in a year's time. On episode 200, sorry, not in a year's time. On episode 200, how many subscribers do you think we'll have? Please put it in the comment. Let us know. Also, put in the comment what guests you want to see. Let us know. And we'll see you next week. Stay central.
The Central Club.